Does not feel good. It has come off. Now this reveals something interesting to us. A very familiar design from a laptop. This over here is a mini PC. But what's interesting about this one is it's not so mini in terms of performance. It's absolute flipping beast. And if we turn it around, you start to see some interesting stickers. And it feels very, very heavy. So, what has Minisforum cooked up this time? Well, this one is called Atoman G7 Pro. So let's see if it's worthy about the Pro title. Deepcool AK700 compact cooling with a smart display. It features 7 advanced copper heat pipes and a next-gen optimized tower delivering unmatched thermal control. I tested it on the Core Ultra 7 265K and it managed to keep it cool down while the CPU pulled over 220 watts of power. The digital screen is a nice touch to easily monitor your computer performance. On the white model, the display through a board effect is a very interesting touch. Perhaps a nice combo with the Gigabyte X870E Aero motherboard. Designed with an offset heat pipes to accommodate the larger heatsink depth for better component compatibility. This allows more space for tall RAM modules. The Deepcool AK700 is available in black and white colors. Check out more information in the description below. So then, inside the box you get this big slim chassis. You have to screw the legs in, by the way, just so you know, it comes separately. And then finally there is a few other things. We've got an SSD heatsink, as you can see in here. You get a HDMI cable. This feels really heavy. Okay, how much power are we getting? 280 watts. i9. So as you can see, because it's Core i9, it is actually a 14900HX CPU, which is 24 cores. We've got NVIDIA GeForce, so this is the RTX 5070 laptop GPU in there. RGB LED support, dedicated control center, silent fan, we'll see about that. 200 watt high performance. We can see that the power brick is 280, so maybe even more. One-click work versus game. PCIe Gen 5 storage, 1 terabyte of storage, and 32 gigs of RAM. Let's take a look at the physical aspects here as well. On the top, we've got some grills so we can have air going out, which is a natural way of the hot air to go out. Then looking at the back of the PC, again, this back of this mini PC looks kind of like a thick laptop chassis, whereas both sides are very strong metal, but because no one's carrying it around, you don't really need to make it out of like light material. This is just all very heavy. Again, some exhaust, I assume. Power goes in here. Interestingly, this power is on the top, which is a bad option actually. I think this is the first mistake that Minisforum has made. So now we've got it the right way. So if we've got the power, let's say going in there towards the back, then it starts lying down. It would make much more sense if the power was here or on the very bottom just over there, just in terms of the cable orientation. We've got one USB 4 HDMI port, USB Type A port, 2.5 gig LAN, and then let's take a look at the front ports. We've got the power button right on the top there. We've got a fan, so perhaps this is the button that actually changes game to work mode 1. We'll figure that out. We've got some lights in there. USB Type A, full-size SD card slot, big fan of that. USB-C, mic and headphone combo chat, and another USB Type A in there. Very good I/O actually. Let's see if we can turn it on. Press go, I guess. Yeah, light goes on. Oh, there's some lights in there. Interesting here, it says Thunderbolt Control Center, which makes me think that this USB 4 that was on the back is not actually USB 4, but it's a Thunderbolt 4 port. But perhaps they're not allowed to say it's Thunderbolt, advertise it because of licensing fees, but because it's Intel platform, most likely it's a Thunderbolt rather than USB 4. Okay, let me spend some time setting this PC up. Okay, it's another day. The guy has finally updated everything. Everything's been set up. So what I want to know now is how good does it actually perform CPU, GPU? Firstly, I want to show you the specs. 14900HX, 24 cores, 32 threads. It's a beast of a CPU, but it can be power limited, so we'll see what it draws in there. 32 gigabytes of RAM, 5600 megatransfers per second. I'll take this one off. We've got NVMe there, 1 terabyte. This is Kingston something something. We're gonna test that in a minute as well, if this is Gen 5 storage, like it says in there. Wi-Fi 7, and then 5070 laptop GPU. Interestingly, what I have just outside the frame in here is the MSI Stealth, which has 5070 Ti. So I'm gonna compare the GPUs between those two as well to see which is better really. Is the Ti laptop that much better or not? So let's check the multi-core test then. Oh, instantly thermally throttling. Oh, just for a minute, we were thermally throttling. What are we pulling? If we're looking at this line in there, we can see 152 watts pulled, 158 pulled, even though PL2 limit is 150 watts. So we'll see how long it pulls or leaves that 150 watts in there. I think the fans could go louder, but it's letting it thermal throttle. And now the fans are like taking time to kick in. They should be kicking in faster to actually get us there a little bit earlier. Look, now it's going full speed of fans when we don't really need it. So we lost all the 150 watt power, which was in there. All the advantage of the 150 watt power, we didn't really take advantage because the fans took so long to kick in. Most of the P cores were thermally throttling. This is quite impressive score, 1,591 points with this one. Bear in mind the MSI Stealth has the Ryzen AI 9HX375, which has 12 cores, but 24 threads, and that one gets around 1,100, 1,200 points. This here is roughly around the Asus ProArt Studio 16, which was the 13900HX, if you remember that laptop, or the M3 Max, roughly around that, which is very, very good. I think we can get a better score because the fans are just not ramping up as fast. So I don't know if we can limit the PL2 limit or like the PL1 limit to 150 as well. Let's download XDU and see if we can. But look at this, the minimum power, 2.5 watts at idle, or at some points it's been 2.5 watts. That's insane. Let me restart the PC. Okay, as you can see, we can short power max 150. So let's turn this one to 150 as well. Because now basically what we're saying is the turbo boost should stay there at all times. So I don't know if this has updated in here. Okay, dynamic, as you can see, it is 150. Let's see if we can get this to run like that. Okay, we're around the 150 mark. Come on, fans, kick in. See, it's thermally throttling slightly over there. But once the fans kick in, we should be able to cool it down. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna stop it because obviously it went down again. So what I'll do is I'll adjust the short power draw. Oh, sorry, that was wrong. I shouldn't put it there. I should put this as 150 watts and then lengthen the window it's pushing for that power. Fans are reacting to it a lot faster, which means that our thermal throttling is not happening as fast. Only now. But actually no, we're definitely getting a higher score this time. Watch. So perhaps Intel knows best, but now what I wanted to do is check the fan speed. What does that do? So at first we are 150 something watts. I'll wait for it to go down. Okay, as you can see, our CPU package has gone to 120 watts, something around there. So if I click this button, the fans have gone a lot more quieter, and the CPU package power draw has gone down as well. Now, if I click that button again, it should ramp up to 120 watts. There we go. Then next up, let's take a look at the SSD speeds. Let's see if it is Gen 5 NVMe or not. PCIe 5.0 SSD. Well, right now it isn't. Okay, so what we have here is 6,138 megabytes per second, which is not Gen 5 speeds. So I don't know what that is there. Perhaps they're giving you an option for Gen 5 SSD. We'll look and open this up in a minute, but that is not Gen 5 performance right now. Then we've got the RTX 5070 laptop. Okay, I'm gonna do the OpenCL test on both the RTX 5070 Ti and the 5070, and let's see what happens. If we're looking here, we're only pulling 47 watts. I know this GPU in there can go to 100 something watts. Okay, the 5070 Ti quite a bit better there. 160,000 points pretty much, where we've got 118,000 points in here. So let's take a look at the power draw, what we're pulling. GPU power 115 watts. And I'm just looking at the watts on this 5070 Ti, which is pulling 105. So the 5070 is pulling extra 10 watts compared to this laptop, which is on here for 105. Temperature's obviously quite all right with that one. On the GPU side, not a big problem. I want to see if there's any settings in the BIOS as well, because there is one more thing we should do, which is open this up and let's see what's inside. Okay, look at this. This is a nice BIOS here. Look at that. Look what we get in here. This game or work mode. Okay, so this button in the front here changes the mode in there. I don't know if the firmware can be updated. I mean, it can through here, but I don't know if this is the latest one. There's not much we can look into here, but let's go advanced mode. Power and performance. Hyper-threading is enabled. Chipset. Nothing interesting in the BIOS. Just you can update it, but that's really it. Okay, I'm gonna put the turbo boost to 165 watts. Let's see what happens then. And then the short burst power draw, somewhere around 200 watts. Okay, we're applying this now. I want to see if that actually makes a difference. One last try. We've gone to 159 watts here at some point. But for now, it's just been 150 and now back to 120. Which just shows me that dynamically, yes, we can adjust the power limits. And even though the CPU could keep up with it, the BIOS just does not let you override it. There's some hard limits kind of set by the BIOS, and that's it. We can't do anything else. So we'll see if we can get a high score now, but it's still 120 roughly watts pulled at all cores. Right now, I'm thinking that the CPU is somewhere on the lower part, because the lower part of the fans are much hotter than the top one, like this one from the top. Hardly warm. This one bottom here, very, very warm. Even the bottom one that blows down is very warm. Okay, I can't wait anymore. That's been enough. I think the performance is pretty impressive. I think that it keeps that much CPU power down and cold is very, very good. If you want to know the creative benchmarks for this one, let me know in the comment section below which device should I compare this one to. Let me know up to 3 laptops that you've seen on the channel that you know we've got in here, so we could compare this to one of those and then see if it actually is any good or not. So then, we'll undo these screws on the bottom. Okay, and then the stand comes off, which is quite heavy. As you can see underneath, there are a few other screws, so we'll undo them now. Does not feel good, but it has come off, voila. As you can see, there are pretty strong clips on the sides. So just put your fingers underneath and pull it off. Now this reveals something interesting to us. So what you can see here is a very familiar design from a laptop. So I'm guessing maybe this motherboard and what they got from this was a laptop design, because they've really just tried to kind of make this flat laptop design in here. One of them being GPU, one of them CPU. I'm not exactly sure which one is which, but, and then you've got these fans on the sides that blow air out, take it from the side in. Interestingly, here's our 2 M.2 slots. So the one that is empty in here, it shows the PCIe Gen 4, and that one is PCIe Gen 5. So the SSD that we're getting is actually a Gen 5 slot, but they've put a Gen 4 NVMe SSD in there. So it's technically right, technically wrong. I think a little bit misleading for people who don't know what this is. If you're testing, it's like, hey, this is not Gen 5 speeds that I'm getting in there. Then there's some other daughter motherboards for some of the I/O that they're getting from this motherboard chassis. So there's quite a lot of space in there, and I guess that's why it looks like a motherboard and mother PC, because basically, you know, imagine you had a screen in here. You could open this up, and then basically this would be the laptop. I'm liking the full size SD card slot that you get there. So if you want to do some creative work, that's there. Then underneath here, oh, interesting. Look at that. So firstly, what you see is like a little thermal heatsink, and they've installed 32 gigabytes of RAM on a single stick, which means if you add a secondary slot, you can get 64 gigabytes, and then you get dual channel. So this is not the best optimized speed by having just one stick in there, but we've got Crucian RAM that you're not gonna see much longer. And this is 32 gigabytes, DDR5 5600 SODIMM. I guess when they've bought the 64 gigabyte kit, they can put one on this machine and then the other one in another machine and then sell it more wisely or share the profits a little bit, because the RAM pricing is all over the place right now. But you can just add secondary slot in there, anything you want, to fit a lot thicker fans inside there than in a normal laptop you could, just because they're not restricted in this space. But this could be a lot smaller, it could be a lot skinnier, or they could push a lot more power through this here and add even more cooling in here, maybe a third fan from the middle, because feels like everywhere there's quite a bit of gap for, you know, extra cooling. We could have even more cooling somewhere around. So these two heat pipes on the top here are sharing the CPU and GPU, so they're shared. So where the GPU or CPU is utilized, one heats up the other, if that makes sense. And then there's one heat pipe each for the CPU and GPU as well. There's a tiny heat pipe that goes through here as well. Maybe gets heat transferred, I don't know where. Maybe there should be another heat sink somewhere over here to blow out this from the back. I mean, if they had another daughter board, so let's say move this a bit further this way inside the chassis and add another daughter board that would get them the, you know, this I/O in the back. They could add extra little bit in the back here as well, heatsink, because you could move it that way, or move all of the I/O in the front. I guess it's nice to have some in the back, but make these heat sinks longer and add extra heat pipe that goes onto the heat sinks in there as well. I suppose they could improve the cooling a little bit more in there. Look, lots of free space on the sides there. Anyway, this is the inside. So what's the overall conclusion of this G7 Pro Atoman? I think, first of all, it's nice that they upgraded it to 50 series, 5070. I think the previous generation was 4070, but at the same time, I feel like we could get more power out of it with some more cooling. Secondly, the CPU, I think it's a very powerful CPU, 24 cores. To get this much performance in here, it's absolutely insane. It's one of the best mini PCs that I have seen out there in terms of the performance for CPU. It's absolutely insane. So having the Pro title, it actually kind of makes sense here, because that CPU really pushes the power to a whole other level that a lot of other mini PCs can't really compete with. Unless we're getting the AI Max Plus 395 from AMD, then the 16 cores, 32 threads obviously pushes a little bit further than this one. But regardless, to have a dedicated GPU, which is actually better than the AI Max Plus 395, I think this is really, really cool and very interesting form factor as well. Kind of like a slim version of PS5 that is even better. Obviously, you get a lot more power from this with the 50 series. I'm liking this. One button work to power mode. I like this as well. The only trouble I have with this one is it actually a mini PC, because it's rather large. What do you think? If you want to pick this one up, check it out in the video description below. As always, I'll leave the link in there. If I remember correctly, I was provided an actual code as well. So if you want to check out a discount code, then I'll leave that in the video description below as well. Thanks guys for watching, and let me know which laptop would you like me to compare this against, because it kind of is like a laptop.